What if I told you there's an old Amish soil trick that can bring dead ground back to life in just 3 days? No fertilizer, no chemicals, just nature doing what it does best. The Amish have relied on this wisdom for generations, and it works because it taps into the hidden power of microbes. Instead of spending money on expensive inputs, you can revive your soil with something you likely already have at home. This isn't just gardening, it's a return to simpler, more natural methods that actually work. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll reveal the one everyday household item that unlocks this process and makes the soil literally come alive. The Amish are known for living simply, frugally, and always in harmony with nature, while the rest of the world rushes to buy bottled solutions and expensive fertilizers. The Amish quietly turn to the earth itself for answers. Their way of life isn't about shortcuts or quick fixes, it's about practical wisdom, passed down through generations. Wisdom that often outperforms modern methods. Think about the rising cost of fertilizers today. Gardeners and farmers spend hundreds, sometimes thousands, trying to keep their soil alive. Yet the land still weakens year after year. Meanwhile, the Amish rely on a trick so simple, so natural, that it almost seems too good to be true. They understand that real fertility doesn't come from chemicals, comes from feeding the invisible helpers. In the soil, microbes. These tiny workers break down organic matter, restore life, and make plants thrive. And the beauty is, you don't need money to harness them, just the right household ingredient. This approach speaks to values many of us grew up with, making do with what we have, respecting the earth, and trusting in time-tested traditions rather than fancy packaging. Stick with me until the end, and I'll share exactly how you can use this Amish soil trick yourself, a method that costs almost nothing, works in as little as 3 days, and brings tired ground back to life naturally. The problem: dead, tired soil. Every gardener knows the joy of planting a seed with hope. You picture green shoots pushing through the earth, blossoms opening, and a harvest you can proudly share with family and friends. But sometimes, no matter how carefully you plant or how much fertilizer you buy, the soil just doesn't respond. Instead of rich, dark earth, you find yourself working with ground that is compacted, gray, and lifeless. The seeds sprout weakly, if at all, and what little grows often wilts before it ever matures. For seniors especially, this struggle can feel disheartening. You've tended gardens for years, maybe decades, and you know what healthy soil used to look like. Back then, you could turn the ground with a shovel and see earthworms wriggling everywhere, a sure sign of life beneath the surface. But today, after years of chemical fertilizers and overworked land, the soil feels harder, drier, and almost empty. It's like the life has been drained right out of it. Store-bought fertilizers promise quick results, but many seniors have seen how they let you down in the long run. Instead of restoring your soil, they treat it like a sick patient on temporary medicine, green for a season, then weak again the next. Year after year, it takes more and more to get less and less. And the costs keep rising, making it harder to keep up. It's frustrating when you pour time, money, and effort into your garden only to see weak sprouts or plants that won't thrive. If you've ever knelt in your garden and felt that sense of heartbreak, the disappointment of planting with hope, only to see nothing but stunted growth, you're not alone. This is a problem many gardeners face, especially those who remember when the soil seemed healthier and more forgiving. The truth is, our gardens don't just need nutrients poured in from a bottle. They need life breathed back into them. And that's why the Amish trick is so powerful. It doesn't just mask the problem with chemicals, it actually restores what the soil has lost. By reviving the microbes and natural processes beneath the surface, it brings the earth back to life in a way fertilizer never could. Have you ever struggled with soil that just won't grow no matter what you do? Tell us in the comments. Your story might help someone else who feels the same frustration. The Amish trick revealed. So how do the Amish bring tired, lifeless soil back to health in just a few days? The answer is beautifully simple, frugal, and rooted in nature's own wisdom. Let's walk through it step by step. Step 1. Collect kitchen scraps. Instead of throwing away potato peels, onion skins, carrot tops, or other vegetable ends, the Amish save them. These scraps may look like waste, but to the soil, they're a banquet waiting to be unlocked. Step 2. Ferment the scraps. The The scraps are placed in a simple jar or bucket with water and a little sugar or molasses. The sugar isn't for the plants, it's food for microbes, the tiny life forms that do the real work. In just 2 to 3 days, you'll see bubbles forming, a sign that billions of beneficial microbes are multiplying rapidly. Step 3. Watch life come alive. What you've created is a living liquid, teeming with helpful bacteria and fungi. It's faster than traditional composting, because instead of waiting months for scraps to break down, fermentation jumpstarts the process in days. Step 4. Dilute and pour into the soil. The Amish don't use this liquid straight. They dilute it with water, then pour it right where the plants need it most. Within days, the soil begins to loosen, darken, and regain that alive smell gardeners remember from years ago. Plants respond with stronger roots and greener leaves because they're finally getting the kind of nutrition they can actually use. The science simplified. When you feed your soil microbes, those microbes return the favor by breaking down scraps into living plant food. Unlike synthetic fertilizer, which forces growth but depletes the soil over time, this method restores balance. It's like giving your garden a healthy meal instead of fast food. For seniors, this trick is both practical and empowering. It turns everyday kitchen waste into a powerful tool, saving money, reducing reliance on store-bought products, and reconnecting you with the natural cycles you've trusted all your life. And the best part? You don't need fancy equipment or expensive additives. Just scraps, a little sugar, and patience for a few days. That's all it takes to revive soil naturally, just like the Amish have done for generations. Would you try this Amish soil trick in your own garden? Let us know in the comments and share what scraps you'd start with. Why it works. At first, it might seem almost too simple. How can a jar of scraps and sugar water bring life back to soil that looks gray, hard, and dead? The answer is in the biology that God and nature designed from the very beginning. Soil isn't just dirt, it's alive. Hidden beneath the surface are billions of tiny organisms, each playing a vital role. These microbes break down organic matter, release nutrients, and create the conditions roots need to grow deep and strong. When the microbes are thriving, the soil is soft, rich, and full of life. But when they're gone, the soil becomes lifeless, compacted, and unresponsive, no matter how much fertilizer you dump on it. That's where the Amish trick shines. The quick fermentation process fills your soil with a flood of living microbes in just days. These helpers immediately get to work, turning food scraps into natural plant food. Unlike synthetic fertilizer, which forces plants to grow whether the soil is healthy or not, this method restores the balance underground. The roots get what they need when they need it, in a form they can actually absorb. Think of it like this. Fertilizer is a crutch, but microbes are the muscles. Fertilizer might prop up your plants for a season, but microbes strengthen the whole system, soil, roots, and plants together. That's why gardens treated this way become easier to grow year after year, instead of harder. And here's the deeper beauty. The Amish see soil not just as earth, but as part of the soul. They believe that when you feed the soil, you're also feeding yourself, your family, and your future. It's a cycle of giving back instead of taking away. This isn't just about gardening. It's about living with respect for the land, using what you already have, and trusting nature's design. For seniors, this wisdom rings especially true. Many of you remember when gardens thrived without chemicals, when compost piles and natural methods kept soil rich for generations. This Amish method is a return to those values, simple, frugal, and deeply effective. It saves money, avoids chemicals, and most importantly, restores life to the soil that feeds us all. Do you believe feeding the soil is just as important as feeding the plants? Share your thoughts below. Your wisdom might inspire someone else. Bonus tips for seniors. Simple soil hacks that work. The Amish trick alone can breathe new life into tired soil. But there are a few extra, senior-friendly methods you can use to give your garden an even bigger boost. These are simple, frugal, and often involve items you already have lying around the house. 1. Save your tea bags. Don't throw them away after your morning cup. Old tea bags can be buried in the soil or placed at the bottom of pots. They naturally hold moisture, which means your plants stay hydrated longer, a big help during hot summers, or when watering becomes a chore. The paper and leaves also break down over time, adding organic matter back into the soil. 2. Crush those eggshells. Every breakfast can become a gift to your garden. Rinse and crush eggshells, then sprinkle them into your soil. They slowly release calcium, which strengthens plant cell walls and prevents issues like blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. It's a natural, no-cost way to recycle something that would otherwise go in the trash. 3. Don't toss your coffee grounds. If you enjoy a morning cup of coffee, you're holding a slow-release fertilizer right in your hands. Coffee grounds add nitrogen, one of the key nutrients plants need for leafy growth. They also improve soil texture, helping it stay loose and crumbly. Just remember not to overdo it. A light sprinkle or mixing it into compost is all you need. Why these tips matter for seniors? They're simple, require no heavy lifting, and let you turn everyday kitchen waste into garden gold. They also connect back to the values many of us were raised with: wasting nothing, finding creative uses for what we have, and respecting the natural cycles of life. These small actions add up, making your soil richer and your plants stronger without costing a dime. And here's the best part. When you combine these little tricks with the Amish soil method, you're building a garden that's healthier today and more resilient tomorrow. It's proof that wisdom from the past, paired with everyday habits, can outshine expensive products from the store. Which of these simple soil hacks have you tried? Tea bags, eggshells, or coffee grounds? Share your experience in the comments so we can all learn from one another. A miracle in a jar. Stories have a way of showing us truth more powerfully than facts alone. So let me share one with you, not from a textbook, but from the garden. There was an Amish farmer, let's call him Eli. For years, Eli tended a small plot of land behind his home. He remembered when the soil was dark, rich, and alive, when his children could dig with their hands and find worms by the handful. But over time, the earth grew tired. Season after season, it seemed to give less. Tomatoes that once overflowed his baskets shrank to weak, spindly vines. Lettuce wilted before it ever filled a bowl. He tried adding compost, even borrowed fertilizer from a neighbor, but nothing seemed to bring the ground back. It was as if the soil had simply given up. One day, Eli remembered a trick his grandfather had taught him as a boy. Instead of buying something new, his grandfather had said, "Feed the soil what it already understands." So Eli gathered scraps from his kitchen, potato peels, carrot tops, cabbage leaves, and placed them in a jar with water and a little molasses. Within days, the jar bubbled with life. To anyone else it might have looked strange, but Eli saw what it was, a miracle in the making. He poured the fermented liquid, diluted with water, onto the very patch of soil where nothing would grow. At first, there was no change, but slowly, the ground softened, darkened, and began to smell alive again. Within weeks, something remarkable happened. His tomatoes, once frail, grew tall and strong, bursting with fruit so red and full it reminded him of his youth. Neighbors stopped by to marvel at the transformation. What Eli called a miracle in a jar was really the power of microbes, the invisible workers his grandfather had trusted all along. For seniors, Eli's story is more than a gardening tip. It's a reminder. Renewal is always possible, even when things look tired or worn out. Soil can come back to life. Gardens can flourish again, and so can we. Hope and growth are not limited by age. They come when we honor the wisdom of the past and trust in the simple cycles of nature. Have you ever seen a miracle in your own garden? Something that surprised you or gave you hope again? Share your story in the comments. This Amish soil trick is more than just a gardening method. It's proof that life can spring from the simplest scraps. That what the world calls waste can become the very thing that restores hope and abundance. It's not about spending money on bottles and bags. It's about wisdom, patience, and trusting nature to do what it was designed to do. The Amish have shown us that when we care for the soil gives back, richer, stronger, and more alive than before. And that's a lesson that reaches beyond gardening. Because no matter how worn out something may seem, a garden, a season, or even ourselves, there's always a way for renewal to take root. If you learned something new today, give this video a like to let us know. If you've got your own secret garden hack or story, share it in the comments. Your wisdom may inspire someone else watching. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors for more timeless gardening wisdom, simple living tips, and stories that remind us of the power of tradition. Because no matter our age, life never stops blooming.